Welcome to Unscripted with Russo. I'm your host, Ashley Russo, president and executive producer of The Peak TV. For our podcast, we decided to explore the people behind the narratives. I'll introduce decision makers and influencers who are winners in their field and find out the intimate story behind their rise to success. Everybody, welcome to Unscripted with Russo. I am here with the person who makes me feel like I need to be more of an entrepreneur, my good friend, Chris Morganelli. Chris, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
All right, so you really, to me, are like the consummate entrepreneur. Have you always been like this? Like, were you a kid who had the lemonade stand?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
I actually built the stand that I put the lemonade on.
Did you really?
Yep, out of wood.
I swear
Yeah.
I did not know this prior to this conversation, but I somehow thought that you were going to say that. So tell me a little bit about yourself as a kid. Where did you grow up and what was your family structure like?
Yeah, so I grew up in Bethlehem, born and raised in Lehigh Valley. Literally have never left. I have a younger sister, older brother, and my mom and dad raised us as a very close-knit Italian family. My father was a lawyer for how long, and my mom did accounting for how long, and we all went to school, and it was kind of the typical family growing up and having dinner together and everything. But I was kind of the troublemaker in the family when I was little, always getting in.
You're the middle child, right?
I am, yep.
Yeah, okay.
And it was just a good childhood and always playing with Legos and building things. And I was very close with my sister growing up and got closer with my brother as the years went on as well, just because of the age differences. It was a great childhood.
What about like traditions with your family? Did your family have any traditions? Does anybody cook?
So many traditions.
Many traditions. Yeah, Italian families, we tend to have those.
My mom was a phenomenal cook, literally the best. And traditions were huge. Every holiday, there would be a massive meal, way too much food. She still cooks like that today, way too much food. But yeah, traditions are huge. Even family dinners on Sundays growing up, we did. And
You guys still try to get together on Sundays?
we do. So it's kind of shifted a little bit in terms of, who's around during the week, pop in, have a bite to eat, and then quick leave. But we still do that, dinners, and the larger dinners with most of the other family members we try and do as well. So
yeah. What about, you said you were a little bit of the troublemaker, you're the middle child. If you were to describe yourself, what were you like at 7? Like, what was 7-year-old little Chris like?
So my brother told my parents I was crazy. So
And he's John's how much older?
4 years older.
4 years
and
older,
then
okay.
Laura, my sister, is 2 years younger than I am.
Okay.
So one story is I got my sister's head accidentally stuck under the garage door. That is a true story. She's fine. But
How does that even happen?
she was following me because I was, we were playing in the backyard, and I told her to follow me into the garage, and I told her to stop, and then I played with the garage door because I was always intrigued with mechanical things, and her head just happened to be underneath the door when it closed, and luckily they had the sensor and it stopped. So, or we'd have a different conversation now.
Oh my gosh.
And then just the way, I was so hyper as a kid in terms of the energy and.
How did you channel that? I mean, was something, were you into sports? Did you?
Yes, played sports growing up, flag football when I was younger, basketball, ran track, and in high school I played 3 sports as well. So sports was huge. That's how my brother and I got really close actually too, is through sports. And then just being in the neighborhood, running around with my friends, riding bikes and stuff.
How do you feel, like, if you were to describe your parents, to you as a kid, like, how would you describe your mom? How would you describe your dad? I mean, you were dealing with, like, your dad's pretty well-known attorney, DA, which I would imagine is a certain skill set.
So younger, I didn't recognize that when I was really young, but growing up, it was more so in the teenage years, making sure we behaved out in public and things of that sort, staying out of trouble. When we did get out of line, so to speak, they would discipline us. I've gotten grounded many times, and I spent a lot of nights in my room with no dinner. My mom always snuck food in later eventually.
She did, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's no way your Italian mother could
Yeah.
think you would be hungry up there.
But yeah, they weren't strict, but they let us have our fun, but we knew what lines not to cross. And I actually went through college as well because I stayed local as well. So it was always make sure you behave and represent the family.
It's so funny that you say
properly.
that. This is literally the speech I actually give my kids, which every situation I say, just remember that when you step outside this door, you represent your family, not just your father and I, but
absolutely.
all the family that's come before you and your grandparents and aunts and uncles, and that means something. And I think that has a lot to do with that tradition idea of family and the importance of family. Tell me a little bit about other activities, like where besides sports, were you into other things? Did you do clubs or?
So I actually got into art back in the day. I used to draw a lot. I used to go to classes in Barnstone Studios in Copley.
Really?
So I did that for a while. And then I also was involved with some architectural contests and whatnot back in the day that actually ran through Lehigh University, where I built a roller coaster out of popsicle sticks, and I actually won third place in that
That is so
contest.
cool.
Yeah, so it was a lot of hands-on kind of architectural or artistic
How did you
things.
find that was a skill? Like, did the drawing come first? I mean,
Yeah,
was
the
it just
drawing came
doodling?
first. Yeah, from just doodling, and I just drew a lot when I was a kid, actually. And it's funny, as time passed, I was actually focused on doing graphic design and art. But today, the industry, I'm in technology, but I was always into the art and graphic design and stuff, and the drawing started it all.
It is interesting, though, how you like the art and the design, because ultimately what you do now is you're an architect. I mean, in a lot of ways, some of the things that you do, you've used that skill set. But what do you think was the overriding lessons that you learned? Like, what are things that as you're starting, you're a pretty young guy still, but when you're looking back to your childhood and you're thinking when, 9, 10 and all this stuff, and you were being told as a kid, do you have any life lessons that you're starting to take with you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, from simple ones as, be kind to others and it'll come back to you, especially in business. We always put our clients first, making sure we truly are trying to put their best interests first. In terms of the personal life, family's huge for me. So making sure that you always make time for family and friends, just those two aspects of being kind and remembering your family is kind of how I grew up. And those are two kind of the pillars I build actually our businesses around. If you look at one of the businesses, we're always talking about family and family and family. And that's, I guess it shows how I was brought up.
Yeah, a huge part of your mission is to make sure you're incorporating
Right,
that, I guess.
yeah.
You talked about building a lemonade stand when we opened things here. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to talk about your first jobs or entrepreneurial endeavors and where that kind of has led you. So everybody stay tuned. We're with my good friend, Chris Morganelli. Family time is about creating memories together to last a lifetime. And what better way to bond than spending time at some of the amazing attractions the Lehigh Valley has to offer? You can cheer on the Lehigh Valley Phantoms or take a walk on the wild side at the Lehigh Valley Zoo. However you enjoy spending your free time, there's something here for every member of the family. For more information on things to do in the Lehigh Valley, head over to Discover Lehigh Valley's website at discoverlehighvalley.com. All right, welcome back to Unscripted with Russo. I'm here with my friend Chris Morganelli of Morganelli Properties, among many, many things. But Chris, before we talk about your entrepreneurial spirit today, talk to me about it in the beginning. So you said you actually physically built a lemonade stand and just run it.
Yep. My grandfather, my dad's dad used to drop off wood, just planks of wood and nails, like in the garage, and that was it. And then I would build stuff, and a lemonade stand was one of them. And my sister and I would sell lemonade on the street in my neighborhood. It was great. It was a lot of fun.
How'd you split the money?
Oh, I took it all. No, I'm just teasing. I actually don't remember. We split it up. I was fair. Definitely fair.
Okay.
So
we'll talk to her and
don't
see
ask
if we
her,
get
though.
the same
No.
story. What about your first job? Like, what was the first job you ever had?
So my first job, like in terms of like actually being employed, was during high school. Was Bethlehem Municipal Golf Course, actually. So it was like through the union. So my dad worked labor back in the day when he was growing up, and he wanted my brother and I to do the same thing. So we were cutting grass and weed whacking along the street near I'm not sure what that road is, but we were, it was early mornings, like 4 a.m. We'd be up, and that was our summers actually.
Wow.
when school's not in session. So that was one of the first ones, and then I also went back to my old high school, Notre Dame High School, and worked maintenance there as well during the summers. And then I also worked in a butcher shop.
Interesting.
That was terrible.
Yeah, that's hard work, right?
I don't know if you recall where Pitchell's used to be. It's now Elias.
Okay, yeah, I know where Elias is.
I used to be in the butcher shop there, cutting meat and stuff. And so I had an appreciation for like education. Not to say that those jobs are important, but I was always wanted to work with my hands and computers and things of that sort and design things. And so education obviously became really important with that experience.
You think there was like a method to your dad's madness?
I'm sure like those early mornings, like I don't know any kid that was like excited to wake up at 4 a.m.
Yeah. Our son caddies and he has to get up at like 6 in the summers, and that's brutal enough. So I can imagine like the grounds crew stuff.
Yes, it was brutal.
Yeah,
but it came home like by like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and that was it. You were like sleeping till dinner time. So it was definitely a learning experience. Good work ethic, and I think that's where I got my good work ethic. And then through college, I was a full-time student, so.
And you went to DeSales University.
I did DeSales University. I have a
So when you
degree.
say you haven't left the Lehigh Valley, you really mean it.
Yeah, St. Anne's Middle School, Notre Dame High School, and then DeSales University.
And we're very proud DeSales supporters here at ASR Media. So
yes.
Dakota, our producer here, DeSales alum, and our GP,
very nice.
and our lead editor, all DeSales.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. So we love it. We get great interns.
I loved it
from
there.
DeSales.
It was
a
a phenomenal
school.
time there. They've grown exponentially, and I majored in computer science. So I loved my time there.
How did you decide on computer science? Because I'm listening to you and I'm thinking you are really hands-on. You know a lot about building, maintenance, things like that. You had this whole artistic side. You're drawing and you're taking art classes. You're also playing sports. I feel like the computer thing is like such a departure from all of that.
Yeah, so it's actually a funny story. So I was looking at other colleges locally, of course, and I met with the department chair at DeSales, and I had brought my drawing portfolio with me that day. I will never forget it. And I put it down on her desk, and she's like flipping through it, shaking her head. This is great, really nice work. And she looked up and she goes, "This really isn't going to matter. No one's really hiring artists locally right now for what you want to do." And I said, "Well, what should I do with this? The creative side." And she's like, "You should go to the path of web design, web development, and graphic design, so you can mesh the artistic abilities and technology." So that's kind of how things came about. I
pretty good that you listened and that she had this great idea.
And actually, my mom was with me that day, not in the room, but I walked out and I said, "I'm coming to DeSales University," and of course she was thrilled because it was close. But I made a decision that day. She was phenomenal. I'll never forget her, the department chair, and that's kind of how DeSales came about. And then through my college career, I was looking at job opportunities. And graphic design, there were some great jobs locally, so I wanted to stay local. And but the more so the computer science direction with IT was kind of more of a lucrative path. And so I kind of, being the entrepreneur I am, I did web design and early on, but my end goal was to start an IT company, which we have today. So I did everything I wanted. I got to use all my skills, but I also learned things that would be relevant in today's world.
What is it about you that you think, and how early did you recognize this in yourself, that has made you sort of say yes and just try new things? I mean, you definitely are not adverse to risk. And why is that?
Yeah, so it's funny you say that. So I am 100% on board to say yes to anything anyone asks me to do, and I'll learn it and perfect it. But it's so the business Morganelli Properties we have with my brother that we started, him and I actually complement each other really well. He's very conservative in terms of proving one concept and then moving on to the next, which is great. And I'm more so, let's do this, this, and this right now. We can learn how to do it along the way. And so I've always, for some reason, I don't know where I got it from, because my family wasn't so much, there weren't a lot of entrepreneurs in my family growing up. So I really don't know where it came from, but all my family members, even my friends, will say, yeah, Chris will do anything to achieve what someone wants done, and he'll learn it. So I don't know where it came about.
I will say that one of the things that's really interesting about what I get to do is interviewing people from all different walks of life. That's a fairly common story. So when people are entrepreneurs, the story is that they sort of just embrace opportunity. They say yes, they do things, they try it, they think, I can learn this, I can do anything, I can try it. And it seems to sort of...
Yeah, it's actually how the real estate company kind of came about, which is a whole other story.
Well, I want to get to that. So let me just ask you a little bit about, you graduate college, and do you get a first job?
No. So during my college career, I had, I think it was 7 internships I completed. And I had worked with some great organizations, Arts Quest, St. Luke's Hospital, other small mom and pop shops throughout the area. But my last internship was through St. Luke's. And my junior year, I started doing web design under C. Morganelli Designs brand. And so I thought I could kind of kickstart that small business. And so when graduation came about, my parents said, "So what jobs are you looking for?" And I said, "Well, I think I'm going to try doing something on my own." They were supportive, but a little worried at the same time. So I opted not to go get a full-time 9-to-5 job working for an organization, but rather kind of put my time and effort into building a book of business and a brand that I could potentially build into something larger one day. So
somebody asked me something once, and I struggled with the answer, so I'm going to ask you now, which is, were there any failures along the way?
Oh yeah,
okay.
A ton of them. Yeah, so I mean, I right currently 2 successful businesses that I continue to grow with great people, and a third entity that I have with other individuals that's growing. But I've had 2 previous ventures that I've tried to do that just didn't work, because whether it was time for the skill sets that were needed to learn it, or I attempted to do it and just didn't work out properly. So yeah, there's been failures along the way, even with the current businesses. I mean, there's early on we've fallen and made mistakes, but just learn and adjust and continue moving forward.
How do you face that? Like when you figure out something isn't working? So for me, part of the struggle is I don't really ever view it as a failure. And I don't know if maybe that's like a narcissistic way to look at it. I don't really know, but I just don't. I really never, when someone asked me the word, I was like, I don't know. I never thought of it as a failure. I just thought of it as like an idea that didn't work out, and I learned and I moved on.
Yeah, I think there's 2 different ways to look at things. So like a venture that didn't work out, which you actually assisted with, Trim Buddy, I don't know if you recall that.
Yeah, sure.
It's
a great idea.
Yeah, I don't think that was a failure, but we kind of backburned that right now. So that wasn't a failure. It was a learning experience as to what it takes to bring a product to market. But in terms of some of the IT hurdles, I would agree with that they're not failures, but learning experiences in terms of how to.
But even the product, like this is the thing. But my fast forward, like I'm older than you speech is going to be, you're what, 31? Yeah. I know I'm going to talk to you 15 years from now, and somewhere that Trim Buddy product knowledge that you got is going to come back, and you're going to be like, well, I built this amazing thing because I had that failed thing.
They're going to be like, what is Trim Buddy?
It's so cool anyway, so too bad you guys will never know. But maybe someday you will.
But no, I agree with you, actually. Learning experiences, not so much failures, but definitely hurdles that you learn from and adjust to be more successful down the road.
Yeah. What would be your advice for somebody who's thinking about starting a business? I mean, it's a pretty bold thing to say at 22 years old, like I'm graduating college and I'm just going to start a company.
Well, first off, my family is very supportive in it, because it's hard to, obviously bills need to be paid and things of that sort. So my family is very supportive with it. I lived at home for a year or so afterwards. So I had the time and the resources to put into it. But I say 100% just go for it. I mean, I literally started with the first business, which has transitioned into the IT company just with my laptop and $100 with some advertising. So it doesn't take a lot to start a business. Just know your products, know your services, and continue to ask your clients, for feedback, and just do 100% jump into it. People ask me, it seems like you put so many hours in a work week, and I would never change anything. I completely love my 60 to 80 hour work weeks, and I wouldn't go work 40 for someone else.
Right, that's right. You've
so
built your own
fun.
reality.
I absolutely love what I do, and for anyone thinking about it, do it 100%. Yeah.
You'll never look back.
Never. Nope.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be back with Chris Morganelli, because I want to hear all about Morganelli Properties and your IT company and what's next for you, because you have a lot of life left to live, buddy. Yeah. All right, we'll be right back. This is Unscripted with Russo. Ever wonder what you get when you combine an historical riverside city, high-end dining, entertainment venues, and craft distilleries? The city of Easton, of course. One of my favorite spots is the Easton Public Market, right in the center of it all. But there's a variety of places to choose. Whether you're looking for a park to unwind or a night out with friends, check out Discover Lehigh Valley's website to find all the hot spots in Easton. Visit their website at discoverlehighvalley.com for more information. All right, welcome back to Unscripted with Russo. I'm here with Chris Morganelli, and he is the founder of Morganelli Properties and Morganelli IT.
Yep,
right?
MCIT. Yep.
MCIT, yep. Right. Okay, good. I know. I feel like I have trouble keeping up because
that's all right.
Like you've got businesses, you're growing, there's things happening all the time. We were just talking a little bit off mic, but I think it's important to bring on mic. Just this idea of being like a leader and an entrepreneur, and what that brings to the table For you, what are you finding as you're building businesses are some of the challenges that you have along the way as far as it pertains to like building a business and building a team? Because you said like, I would never want a 40-hour-a-week job, but yet you're hiring people to be a part of your company.
The culture I think that we've created, so I'll start with MCIT because that's more of they're employees of the business. So the culture we've created is very laid back in terms of what the IT and tech industry I think consists of. Our techs are out and about throughout the day. They can reach out to us. Their hours are really, whenever there's an issue, kind of, get it fixed, get it resolved. But if, it's very laid back, where our goal is just to keep our clients running smoothly. And that's kind of it, being proactive in terms of making sure things are running smoothly. We don't have
But do you find that there's a challenge between being the business owner who innately cares about your customer and then translating that to a team, making sure that they
so I think we had that hurdle earlier on. I found we have great techs now that kind of appreciate the time and effort that we put in as the owners. But finding individuals that care as much about the product and services that as we do and I do, my business partner does, it was difficult because we didn't, as you mentioned earlier, an offset. It was the mindset isn't there. If you're inherently a leader or an entrepreneur, you kind of have that. And some of the people and individuals today just don't have that. They're kind of the worker bees and they get in and get out. That's why
I think that what's interesting, what I've kind of learned is that part of the challenge and also sort of the excitement of life and growing a business is figuring out different people's strengths and then putting them in the right slot. And making sure that they're in a situation where they have the opportunity to use their strengths. And then the really cool thing is when their strengths are not your strengths, but you put them in the right spot, all of a sudden everybody's supporting each other. Yeah, like it kind of lifts you up and vice versa, hopefully. So that's kind of been a cool thing.
In terms of the Morganelli Properties on the real estate side, those individuals they're not employees. No real estate brokerage hires employees. They're all 1099. So they actually act as if it's their own business. And you can clearly see who has the mentality to create their own book of business and wants to do the marketing, which we will do for them and help them. But it's a clear vision, and you can clearly identify who wants to succeed in real estate because the sky's the limit in terms of what they're able to do. So
you've gotten pretty well known, I would say, in your post-college years for the IT side of the business and for the web design and other things that people have come to know you for, and I think you've been more public about. It seemed like a pretty big 180 almost to go all of a sudden you were going to start a real estate company.
Yeah.
So why? Like, why did you enter this completely new territory?
Yeah. So I'll do a real short kind of how we got here. So as I mentioned, DeSales University, computer science, the web design kind of transitioned into the more tech support managed services element that we have with MCIT today. With MCIT, we obviously wanted to grow a book of business. So the networking events, as you know, are huge throughout the Valley. There's one every night. But the people I needed to meet with and talk to open up doors kind of weren't the level of individuals that were at these events. So I created Network Magazine, which you're familiar with. So Network Magazine was a vehicle that I'm involved with 5 other individuals and business owners throughout the Lehigh Valley, where we have a quarterly based networking event. With Network Magazine, it's been phenomenal for MCIT, and I've met great people throughout it in every industry. So the real estate is completely did come out of right field. A couple years ago, my brother and I bought our own homes. I was looking to sell my townhouse that I had, and he was looking to buy another home with his wife. And we decided, with our personal experience buying and selling, I went through about 4 realtors, and my brother went through like 6, and we're like, you know what? Like I said earlier, I can do this myself. So we ended up, we were down.
Necessity is the mother of invention.
100%. So we were down in Stone Harbor, and I said, we should sell our houses and buy new ones. He said, okay, we should get our licenses so we can save on the transactions. I said, that's a great idea. So we ended up getting our licenses and whatnot, and we met with all the brokerages, and our intention was to hang our license with a real estate brokerage in Lehigh Valley. We met with all of them. In fact, my brother actually ended up hanging his license with a local one for a period of time because that was our intention. But how I am, as we were identifying and differentiating all the different structures and offerings that these brokerages were providing, said, I don't like any of this. We should do this ourselves. And my brother's like, what are you talking about? I said, let's open up our own real estate brokerage. He's like, you're crazy. We can't do it. So along the way, we've met some great people. We're lucky to have two investors involved with our real estate company who gave us early on financial stability, some business guidance. And we opened up last April, and our business plan when we initially made it had 5 agents for the first year, and we're at 35 realtors to date. So it kind of came out of nowhere. My brother and I aren't necessarily practicing real estate. We have our licenses. We're involved with it. We've hired a broker. She's phenomenal. My brother handles the data and analytics, and I handle all the technology and marketing. So it kind of allows me to utilize my skill sets, what I've been through school for, and what my businesses elsewhere are about, and help this business grow. So all the realtors have free graphic design, the technology support that they need.
Which they must love, because that's got to be pretty.
They do. Yeah, that's one of the
offering.
biggest things I think to attest to our growth is most realtors don't have the support that they need to market themselves properly. They have to pay for that stuff, but they get 100% free graphic design and marketing with Morganelli Properties, and MCIT supports all the technology that runs the business. So it's really everything really does come full circle. So everyone says, well, how do you juggle it all? It's really all interconnected. Like the Network Magazine helps grow my network to get new IT clients.
I get that question a lot too for the same reasons of our different brands.
Yep.
But they all kind of support each other.
They do.
Feed each other. They ebb and flow. I think the hardest part to figure out, and I don't know if you find this, is how to balance the social media piece.
That is
multiple brands.
Yes.
That's the challenge.
That is the challenge. Actually, so Morganelli Properties brand is on social media is growing great. We have a phenomenal following. MCIT, we're going through some changes right now with MCIT. We have a phenomenal partnership that I can't talk about yet, coming up with a phenomenal organization locally that's going to help grow us exponentially here locally as well. But I don't think people want to talk about IT. I think that's one of the hurdles is for us in terms of educating people.
Well, because it feels like you're speaking Greek.
Right. And I think it's scary.
I hear it and I'm like, oh.
Right. When you talk about server virtualization and you're going to get ransomware, and it's like, what?
Well, we've talked about just the idea of having to redo a website or whatever. What you go through for that from it pulls you off of whatever you're passionate about, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's a challenge. I get that.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you before we get to our rapid fire round, I want to know what's next for you. I know that family's really important. I know you have a baby niece. Your niece was just born.
Addison, she's
adorable. You're in a happy relationship.
I am.
Yeah. So tell me what's next for you, Chris, the person and the entrepreneur.
So personally, I think just getting to spending that family time together, watching my niece grow, Addison, John, and Carolyn are blessed. She's absolutely adorable. Oh my gosh, it's such a great. My family's so excited about it. Yeah,
I know, and I have to say, your mom, I can't even imagine. I just adore her so much. I really do.
I actually have video of her pacing around the hospital waiting to get to work. It was so funny.
I was like, I think she's just the best grandmother.
Spending time with family, watching Addison grow. I'm in a great relationship with my girlfriend, and spending more time with her and traveling a bit. And I think business-wise, just watching Morganelli Properties grow and MCIT. I think these two businesses have a lot of potential to become big-time players in the market here. And I'm hoping next couple months and years to come are successful. We have great people that work with the organization, and we're really excited about it.
Well, Chris, it has been such a pleasure getting to know you, and I mean over the last few years. I don't even remember how our paths crossed, but we just it's been great. It's been fun to watch you build a business and multiple businesses and change, and I love those check-ins, and I can't wait to see where you are in 10 years, 20 years. Really, it's been great. So, okay, well, we do this little thing called rapid fire at the end. I want to let the audience know you have not heard these questions, but I'm going to hit you with them. You ready?
Okay.
All right. What is your favorite holiday memory?
Christmas, and it was when I wrote a letter to Santa, and I was devastated, by the way, when my parents told me about Santa Claus. But I came down the steps, and all the toys, I asked him not to wrap the gifts this year because I wanted to see them. And I asked for this hot rod. I used to collect cars. I love cars. And that was up front and center, and I walked down. I'll never forget it. It was... I can remember walking down the steps right now, actually.
You can feel it.
Yeah.
Oh,
So Christmas is my favorite. My dad calls me the Christmas kid. So.
Oh, I love that. All right. What about your favorite Halloween costume?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say when I was a pirate. I was that for 7 years in a row.
Last year?
No, not last year. It was 2 years ago. No. I think I was a pirate a bunch of years in a row for some reason.
You like that?
Yeah,
like
for
that
some
character?
reason. Yeah.
All right. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
I would say to read minds. Yeah.
I don't know. Did you ever see that movie with
I
Mel
did,
Gibson?
and
What do women want? That's a little scary.
Well, that's true. If I could filter it.
Okay.
So, but to read minds and again, hearing what people think.
Yeah, I bet you could build a program to filter out what you don't want. All right. What is your favorite thing to binge watch?
Oh, that's such an unfair question. So I watch the Food Network like crazy, which is really weird. That I don't cook, I just eat. But I've been watching Jane the Virgin, Breaking Bad. I mean, I just love Netflix series and stuff. I don't watch a lot of TV, but if there's a good series, I can sit there.
And are you someone who watches weekly or binge watches?
Oh, no, it has to be in one day. I finish it all.
Yeah, I know, right? We're on or off. I get it.
Yeah.
All right. What is your bucket list destination? Somewhere you've never been.
Where I've never been. So Italy was one, and then we obviously just got back from that. So I would say I would actually love to do a safari in Africa one day.
Oh my gosh, my husband too. I'm not convinced yet.
I've priced out a trip there, and it's really expensive.
Yeah, it's really expensive. So someday, but
that'd be a really neat bucket list to do like a safari.
Yeah.
Check it out. It's like I've heard amazing stories from people who have done it. So.
All right. Well, I'll book that for you.
All right. Thanks.
Perfect. All right. If you could bring one thing on a deserted island, what would it be?
Is there internet? I don't have internet, right?
The internet. That's good.
Well, I was gonna say I'd bring my laptop. I could get some work done. I don't know. I'll get back to you on that.
All right. And then the last one is you get to turn the table and you get to ask me a question.
Ooh, that's a good one. All right. Who's been, this is a good question. Who's been a big inspiration in your life in terms of someone you look up to within your career that you've kind of not shaped your career around, but like kind of gave you the inspiration to continue pushing along and doing all these new things within the media world?
Okay, so I don't know necessarily within the media world, but I had an English teacher in 10th grade who told me that if I could learn to write and communicate the way I speak, that it would change my path. And she actually suggested that I get a tape recorder and record my papers, just talk out loud.
Really?
As what I wanted to write. And that was how I started developing my writing skills, and really gave me the confidence, not that I needed confidence necessarily, but kind of gave me the direction of public speaking, being drawn to like journalism and radio and TV, and started writing for the school paper from that.
Oh, wow.
So I would say that 10th grade teacher giving me this idea of looking at my form of communication in a different way really put me on this path.
Are you still in touch with her?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
I actually had a professor like that at DeSales.
You did?
Who, when I made the decision to do the computer science degree and everything, I had him for class and everything, and I was looking for jobs. I asked him about jobs. He goes, "Don't go get a job. Start your own businesses. You'll be successful." And you
had two really influential people at DeSales.
Yeah, I did.
Guiding you, which is pretty cool.
Just to get in the door, I had someone, and then my path in terms of my career, wrapping up DeSales. And he's now in Florida. I think he's retired. I think he might do some teaching online, but I still touch base with him maybe every 2 months or so.
Yeah, and I would say he probably loves to hear from you.
Oh yeah, he does. And it's funny.
Amazing.
He's seen these other businesses pop up in addition to the IT company, and he always says, "Make sure you continue building that IT company." Just to make sure I stay focused on
that one path.
Yeah, it's
I
funny.
love it.
But yeah, I like that story. That was a good question I asked you, because it went back to.
It was a great question, and you answered all of my questions really well. So Chris,
minus
thank
the
you.
deserted island one. So
I
had fun. This is great.
Thank you for coming. I
Thanks for
appreciate it.
having me.
Best of luck with everything. You know
Thank
that
you.
I will be watching and cheering from the sidelines, and
I know you will be.
here whenever you need us. So thanks
Much
so much,
appreciated.
Chris Morganelli. Check him out. You can see MCTI. And
MCIT.
MCIT. Why did I say that? I don't know the company.
It's all right. I'll make a list for you.
It's the IT company to me, Chris. All right. Morganelli Properties,
Yep.
of course, for all your real estate needs.
Much appreciated.
Great. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Ashley.
You've been listening to Unscripted with Russo. Until next time.